So this is either 44 or 43 days out. So January 21st. How many is there? A January 31st? I feel like there is. So is every month apart from February the same number of days? I feel like I've definitely heard, like every January is always the same. Every December is always the same. Definitely, yeah. But February is the one that changes. That's how they figured that out. Well, either way, the 21st, only 9 or 10 more days of January left, and then this month is over. January is complete. It's in the books. There is no going back. There is no replaying the score or having the ref say, you know what, actually, at first we thought you just slacked off and, punked out all January, but really, after reviewing the tapes, you actually killed it. You actually did it. You're good. That doesn't happen. That is absolutely not how it freaking goes down. Whatever happened these last 3 weeks and whatever going to happen, in another couple days, this last 4 weeks, month 1 out of the 12 that we got for this 2026, it's done. So the way I look at that is a very good kind of pressure, not like a crazy amount of pressure, but a good amount of pressure to make me say, all right, shit, I better get after it. I better keep doing my things and trying to get to the places that I want to go, because I've only got so much time to do it. And if on a month-by-month basis I'm a little bit closer to where I'm headed every time, well, then I'm golden. That's what I want to see. So it's very easy for me to think like that right now, because I've got the Arnold coming up, the Arnold UK a few weeks after that, coming up. So up until basically end of March, I've got a very specific game plan of what all my training is for, why I'm doing all this extra cardio, calorie tracking. I haven't had canes in months. Wendy's is even longer, I think. Maybe I had some a little while ago. Not recent, not within the last 2 months for sure. But Wendy's screws up my stomach now anyway, so I don't even though I want it, I know I don't for real. So I guess Wendy's isn't a good example. But I've got this pinpoint goal, and it makes it very easy to day by day show up and say, okay, what are the 3 or 4 things that I need to do today to get myself closer to that goal? Okay, all right, well, for me, I'm going to stick to my calories. I'm going to train. I'm going to do my cardio. And I'm going to try to have fun doing it. So the training part is actually the easiest for me. I want to train. I like to train. That's not a challenge. The cardio, a bit more challenging than the training. It's longer. An hour and I'm not doing an hour and a half of a workout. This back day is only going to take me like 40 minutes, maybe 30 if I was like really kind of pushing it, but probably 40, 45. So I'm doing double that in cardio. Cardio's like, cardio isn't making me think like, man, I love this right now. I love the treadmill. But it's not that bad either. You just do it. The calorie is definitely hard. I'd say the calorie difficulty is about the same as the cardio. You just got to always be thinking about it. One trick dieting that you can think about is just shorten your schedule. Shorten your perception of time. Don't think, okay, I only get to eat all of this in one day. Think, okay, what can I eat over the next 2 hours? Right now it's noon. I slept way in because I stayed up late last night, but I just had a bowl of some leftover cube steak, some ground beef, a little bit of like a teriyaki sugar-free sauce. I melted a slice of American cheese into it just because I like it. There are definitely no benefits to eating a slice of American cheese, specifically training-wise. The fats are probably kind of weird, and the protein isn't really good quality either. I just ate that because I like it. And it's only 50 calories worth, so it's really not that big of an impact. But small meal, it's noon, it's 12:40, so I got some time to play. So by the time I finish training, I basically got room in my schedule for like a 600 calorie meal, 50, 60 grams of protein, however much carbs and fats I need, like things like that. Just focus on a per meal basis and try to stay full for a little while after. Keeping a lot of like 2-liter bottles around and just refilling them with water or like an electrolyte or something is also a very good angle, because the more you're sipping on something, you have like just even as fluids from just water in your stomach, it does make it feel easier to not eat as much, if you kind of catch what I'm saying. And then, yeah, and as long as you do that well and you have a good schedule and you're not like burning yourself out, trying to starve yourself, dieting more than you're not comfortable with, but comfortably uncomfortable with, like dieting is never easy. On average throughout the day, I'm hungrier than not. But if I tried to starve myself and eat like 1,000 calories and do like protein only and only eat 250 grams of protein and nothing else, well, for one, that wouldn't even be super effective. I'd probably actually start burning muscle from not eating enough to recover. But also, it would burn myself out. I couldn't do it like that. That would be too much. So I got to be comfortably uncomfortable so I can keep pushing it further, but within a maintainable reason, if you feel me there. So if you get yourself into a good routine where you can do that, well, it actually gets kind of easy. Not easy, but doable. You know what I'm saying? Like if someone gave me an undoable routine, it doesn't matter how effective or ineffective it might be. I can't do it. It's undoable. So you got to also look at it with the lens of like feasibility for you. If you've never worked out before, maybe you don't need to jump straight to lifting and doing cardio every day of the week, 7 days a week, 52 weeks a year. Kind of ease your way into it. I know that's not a cool way to say it, because when we think about locking in, we imagine ourselves as like this hyper awesome version of like, all right, I'm going to do 2-a-day training and I'm never going to eat Skittles again. And I'm like, it's cool to think about it like that, but we also do live in the real world. You've got to make sure that whatever route you go down and like progress and routine that you pick, you're actually able to do it. Like if I wrote out my plan for this diet and I said I'm only going to eat boiled chicken, rice, and broccoli, I bet it would work. But for me, I can make it a little easier on myself by throwing in some treats now and again. Plus, probably more so than ever, I can say that because I'm ahead of the schedule, leanness wise. But then that was just kind of an extra quick sort of ramble. In terms of the lift, getting back to what we're really doing today, I'll just kind of see how I feel. I'm not going to do anything too heavy. Even chest supported rows, I'm still not going to go too heavy. Sometimes I'll tweak where my lats tie into my armpits, or I'll get my forearms going. As I diet, my back, like sort of overall pulling strength, really doesn't diminish too bad. Like I can still move some hefty weight around, but it sort of defeats the purpose of what a heavy training session would be, because I'm not eating enough food to recover from it and grow. All I need is to get a solid back pump, and all the sets that I do, add to it, burn, squeeze, go hard, and not tweak or pull anything in the process. So I kind of, in a way, I do feel like I'm taking my foot off the gas in terms of my training when I'm dieting, but not so much in terms of overall intensity, just in terms of heft. I don't need to rip my pecs off or rip my lat or do any, like, that would just be freaking foolish, beyond foolish. So as long as I get a badass pump, I'm happy. I am happy. That's not an excuse to take training easy when you're dieting, by the way. I don't want that to somehow convey that idea. But it is more so just kind of saying you might want to train a specific way depending on what your dieting goals are in the moment. But I think no more of this freaking ramble. How about we just get in there and get this back day started? I got a bunch of like LED lights, like the like a long beam light, but I'm not going to mess with them. Sometimes if I get lights delivered to the gym and I show up for a workout, I end up distracting myself and I set up the lights for like 45 minutes and then I start the workout. So I think I'll save that for later. And I don't even think they all got delivered yet. A few of them are still like in shipping, or like they get delayed. So maybe I'll save that for later. But that's fun for me. I really do like trying to make the Sam Gym look cool. Not too cool, because if the lights are like, this is like behind the scenes Sam putting his director's hat on. But if the lights are too in your face and like they're too much and it's just too, like, it doesn't even look good. It just looks kind of like stupid. Like, how everybody's podcast is lit the same way? Like they do the red lights on one side and the blue lights on the other, and maybe they have like a purple, and like, it's cool, but if everybody does it the same way, well then what's really cool about it, So that's just a little something that for me on the video side of things. Plus, I just get to lift in a gym with really cool lights. It's just kind of fun. But yeah, no, we're talking about it. Let's go make this lift happen. And I'm excited for the pose down because I know it is going to be as freaky as any. And if yesterday's chest day is any indication of some grain and veins that are going to pop out for this lift, well then for me to say I'm excited is an understatement. But yeah, no more talking. Let's get started. All right, I have not started with these for quite a while. I've been starting with just regular ass pull downs with a straight bar. Let's change it up a little bit. Let's do the V bar, or whatever this one's called, the close grip bar. Definitely a little bit of a different feeling, but it makes it a little easier for me to get this like pulling my elbows around in front and towards my back rather than like just down, if you feel me. Because like just the nature of holding it, instead of here, I'm like over here. So it feels a little more like a pullover than a pull down. At least, you know, kinda. Let me just pick a good song and yeah, there we go. A little Bad Meets Evil. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Poof. 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 Yeah, let's spam a few of those. That's good. I'm trying not to use any forearm and just really get my lats going. A little heavier for this one. A little heavier and a little quicker. Come on. Yeah. 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 All right, two more. Two more, because that feels pretty good. And then we'll move on to something else. Poof. Two. Poof. Oh, shit. All right, let's go a little lighter for this last one. Instead of 260, let's do 200 and go from there. All right. Okay. All right, I've got a plan for what's next. It's going to be some single arm pullovers. I think that'll be good. So this is just moderate weight and dieting. I definitely prefer doing my pullovers a little lighter and faster. Off season, I mean, once I start trying to gain size again, I am going to camp out on that machine pullover every back day for at least a couple of sets. But that's more of a heavy loading pullover. This is more so lighter squeezing. Like the heft of the stretch isn't so crazy because the machine isn't pulling me back. The cable's only pulling my arm up and out. So it's actually kind of lightest here, heaviest down here at the bottom where I'm really flexing, you know. So by going back and forth, 5 reps each, good squeeze on either side, it just kind of, well, definitely adds to the pump for sure, but it's just a good kind of burning movement. It's very different than those hefty pullovers just now. All right. That's okay. Oh shit. You already know what I'm about to finish with. Yeah, let's finish with a classic and then pose down. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Let's see how back is looking pumped. Let's take a little gander here. There we go. All right, yeah, back complete to my satisfaction. That is for freaking sure. So how about we get a little bit of a look of it through the shirt lat spread, and then we can really kind of get to the real deal. All right, I'm feeling pretty triangular. That's just freaking sweet. But all right, let's actually see how we're looking. And back, I've been meaning to do it, but then I just don't. I should start doing some check-ins unpumped after cardio, just so I kind of actually get a gist of what my back is going to look like flat, you know, because pumped up, it's cool, but it's actually a little bit more tame than unpumped, because when your back's full of blood, sometimes in a way it can kind of take away from the grain and like separation, like of this sort of Christmas tree look. And that's what I want. Like I want grain. I don't just need pure unadulterated size right now. But let's see how we're looking. Okay, without a doubt, that was my grainiest Christmas tree ever. Not just this cut, I'm talking fucking ever. Oh my gosh. All right, even holding that pose is crazy. But I'm excited to get back to the computer and actually see what that looked like on the big screen, because that is just freaking sweet. But even just standing, not even doing like a very specific like ab flex or anything, but just kind of standing neutrally, like, this is nuts. Midsection is definitely the wildest I've ever seen it. And this isn't even peak leanness yet. Oh, geez. But I'm going to try not to distract myself too much. I have got some freaking stuff to do today. Firstly, being going to Planet Fitness and getting my cardio done. Very freaking important. So how about we just get in the car after that's complete and discuss. All right. Actually, I lied. We can just do a little bit of a chit chat on the way to the PFit for cardio. So have not done it yet, but it definitely feels good being this lean at just a touch over 6 weeks out. And I know all I'm talking about is this whole show, but that really is kind of the focus of right now. But yeah, compared to last year at this time, I felt like I just kind of had this just antsiness. I'm like, all right, I gotta make sure I get lean enough. I gotta, I don't know, am I gonna make it in time? Whereas this time, much more comfortable, much more, just much more on track, So the biggest lesson I learned from that first competition season into this one, turning into like a change that I could actually apply, is give yourself some time. Give yourself some time to diet down, because I'd rather be able to slow down at the end than to have to speed up into the end, and potentially have to like over diet and really crunch and just do a crazy amount of extra cardio and just come in like flat and come in like stressed, So I really do think that visually it's going to be a pretty stark contrast from amateur Sam now to pro Sam. But that's kind of just the nature of things. If you're actually making gains over time, well, that's the whole point. You're going to be a different guy year 2 versus year 1. You're going to be a different dude. You're going to be in a different spot. You're going to have a different look year after year after year. So when I imagine future me, what I'm going to look like over time, I'm not exactly thinking anything specific. I'm not thinking bigger. I'm not thinking a certain weight. But one thing I really do think about is just kind of like the traits that I want to improve on. So visually, just like, physique wise, I want to be grainy, just like harder, like have that kind of old muscle mature sort of look. If I don't gain any weight over the next couple of years, I'm definitely gonna, but if I didn't, and all that happened was the texture of my muscles sort of changed and got a little bit more ingrained and deeper and just like freakier, well, that's cool with me, because progress is not so linear as just more meat on the frame, more everything. That's definitely a current, that's what bodybuilding is, right? Who can be the biggest, basically. But that's not exactly my point anymore. It definitely was. When I imagined myself like, okay, man, I'm going to really start getting, I'm going to start really beefing up. Yeah, I'm going to be 300 pounds, same as a Rich Piana, bulking to 300, bigger by the day. Whereas the bigger I've gotten, and obviously now I'm like in the when I'm walking around with food in my system and clothes on, I'm like 230. I'm in the 230s. I'm just about probably 235 right now with food and water and clothes. But morning weight, empty stomach, after the bathroom, before eating or drinking anything, for me to stand up at about 230, like this lean, this is getting, like, my dysmorphia, if you could call it that, is pretty satisfied at this size. Like, I don't feel this insatiable need where I'm like, oh man, I feel so small. Oh, I feel so small in the mirror. And I feel a little bit spoiled that I don't feel like that, because I know a lot of people do, and that's kind of the motivation. I want to be bigger because I don't like how I look right now. But that mindset has never appealed to me at all. There's a point in looking at yourself and saying, okay, I have things that I want to work on. These are the like different traits that I want to actually improve so I can look different over time and keep making progress. But to just catch yourself being, and I've said this a few times, catching yourself being your own worst hater, like just calling yourself out on like, God, I look so shit, or just whatever. Like, that's not good inner speak. That's not good self-speak or self-talk, I think. Like, I want to be my own biggest supporter, my own biggest advocate. Like, I want to be hyping myself up. Now, it's a fine line between the two, because on one side, if you're always hyping yourself up for no reason and you don't really, deserve it maybe, well, then now you're just kind of giving yourself a big head and being straight up like delusional. But you also don't want to be so hard on yourself and judgmental that it like turns you off to the whole endeavor of the gym at all. So there's a sweet spot of just, okay, I've got things that I want to work on, and by the time you've gotten into a good routine and you're actually making consistent progress, well, then you can be very satisfied, and like I feel at least very satisfied knowing I'm on track towards whatever my goal is. So over the next few months, after all these competitions are done and I start kind of recomping and getting more size on and just putting more, weight into my system or food into my system, I'm not going to be upset if I start getting a little bit softer in the face, or if I start losing my cuts and my abs or my, striations or whatever, because that's just part of the game. That's just the progress that I'm making towards the greater end goal, So if I could kind of sum up the theme of, I guess, the talk here and the talk back from the gym, it's just think about the future, man. Not the far future, not the distant, off in the freaking past the horizon future, but the near future. You in a few months. If you could look back, fast forward in time, 4 months, what do you wish you did? Let's say you can't decide, should I bulk up, should I cut down? Well, think of yourself in 4 months. Where are you going to be? 4 months from now, January, February, March, April, May, it's almost summertime. Maybe you want to be a little bit leaner. You want to bulk into winter. So maybe 4 months of locking in, a little extra cardio, a little extra calorie tracking. By May, June, you're pretty lean, and now you can say, all right, I better start putting some size on. It's going to start cooling down. Sure, it's July or August now, but it's going to be wintertime. Let me set myself up for a winter off season and start dieting now. Or the other way around. I'm going to bulk into the end of my school semester, my school year, and then I'm going to start cutting down once summer comes around, and I can have some more free time, and I don't have to sit at the house trying to slam food because it's summer and I want to have fun, So things like that. But if you only catch yourself thinking in a weird, not grandiose, but like just a very distant future, and you're upset with where you're at in the current moment, I think that can kind of lead to a situation where you're not even giving yourself a good setup to think about what you want to do. It can turn into just a little bit of a mental stewing of like, oh, I don't like where I'm at right now. I don't like how I look right now. I don't like how I feel right now. And that's fine. That's not inherently bad at all, because that's an identifying of a problem. Like, okay, I really don't like how I feel right now. I don't like how my routine has been. I don't like the people I've been hanging around with. I just don't like what I've been doing. That shouldn't be the end of that statement. That shouldn't be the end of that sentence. There should be a second part. There should be a part 2 of that where you say, okay, I don't really like where I'm at right now. All right, what can I do to change it? What can I do? What are a few things that I can do over these next few months to change it? What do I want to get better at? Or just make different, So things like that. Just keep it in mind. But I'm no therapist or anything. I'm just a guy who likes getting a pump at the end of the day. But that's my 2 cents on the matter. If you got some shit going on, just don't stew too much. If you catch yourself stewing, sometimes that can mess with you even worse than the problem really is. You're going to suffer more in your mind than you ever will in reality. So as soon as you start taking a few steps to work on whatever thing it is you want to work on, I think odds are pretty soon you're going to start feeling pretty good about it. Or at least better than before. But I'm going to go ahead and park in here. I came in this Planet Fitness last night for cardio, and it was dead. There was nobody in here, which kind of got me a little extra motivated to do my cardio, because I knew nobody was in here, and I'm like, all right, well, I guess somebody's got to turn it up. Somebody's got to clock an hour on the bike. But yeah, that's all I got. So I'll see you for a badass arm day tomorrow. So stay tuned.